The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. It is 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Elena Rusk.
Now to our coverage of the Sierra snowmelt. Highway 178 through the Kern River Canyon still closed this morning after being shut down on Saturday due to gaping cracks in lanes. This is causing some commuters to take hours-long detours. The CHP says there's still no timeline when the canyon could reopen. The CHP first cut off both lanes over the weekend because of the massive cracks that you see, with Highway 155 still closed as well due to winter damage. The route between Bakersfield and the Kern River Valley is a long one. The best possible detour is to head over through Tehachapi on the 58 to the 14 in the desert, then back onto the 178 into Weldon. Now, drivers heading from Bakersfield can also take Highway 58 to Caliente-Bodfish Road, but many locals are saying to leave that for them. The Kern County Fire Department also saying high-profile vehicles and anything towing a trailer really discouraged from taking this route.
A man's body pulled from the Kern River earlier this month has been identified. Raymond Lavis was reported missing from the Bodfish area back on May 4th. More than 2 weeks later, search and rescue teams found his body in the Kern River off Sierra Way. The cause of death has not been determined.
We turn now to your 17 Crime Watch. A salon in downtown Bakersfield, the latest target of a break-in burglary. Breaking Bad Hair Salon on 20th Street was broken into early yesterday morning. The owner telling 17 News thieves stole retail products and tools, among other items. She says they also took down the salon's security cameras. So she's asking nearby business owners for their footage in the hopes of catching the thieves. The salon recently celebrated its 5th anniversary.
A man accused of shouting racial slurs while vandalizing a local Burger King has pleaded no contest to 2 charges. Back in October, police say the man walked into the Burger King on White Lane armed with a knife and started yelling white power at the restaurant's Hispanic employees. Workers locked themselves in an office after the man started breaking items and jumped over the counter. He was eventually taken into custody after officers used a taser. That man, Rodney Rusco, pleaded no contest to felony vandalism and misdemeanor resisting arrest. Sentencing is set for the end of next month.
Today marks 1 month since 4 people were gunned down in Mojave. Still no arrests announced. The mass shooting happening inside a trailer parked in a dirt lot. Sheriff Don Youngblood says evidence points to the shooting being an isolated incident. He says drug paraphernalia was found in that trailer, and he believes it could have made the victims a target. As the race to get the bipartisan agreement to raise the debt ceiling across the finish line is in high gear. As NBC's Bree Jackson reports, both President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are trying to secure support within their own parties.
Have a good weekend. Have a nice Memorial.
With a bipartisan deal to avoid a government default reached, the focus is now on securing enough votes to get the bill through Congress.
I spoke to McConnell. I spoke to a whole bunch of people, and it feels good.
The 2-year deal suspends the nation's borrowing limit until early 2025, holds non-defense spending flat next year with a 1% increase in 2025, while bumping up military spending, something President Biden wanted.
I think President Biden did about the best he could do in a very difficult situation.
Republicans are touting wins, including a new Congressional Budget Office estimate projecting the deal would cut spending more than anticipated. But Democrats aren't happy about the deal's expanded work requirements for federal food stamp recipients.
I feel like we are being held hostage. We should be in regular order. We should never be in this position again, and yet I cannot and will not be a rubber stamp.
Some hardline Republicans also voiced concerns.
Now, there are going to be detractors.
Despite pushback, there's optimism.
It's going to get through the House. It's going to get through the Senate. It's going to be signed into law by the president.
The race is on for Congress to secure votes and get the debt ceiling bill to the president's desk before the June 5th default deadline. And the Rules Committee meets today to process the debt ceiling bill, and the measure is expected to go to the House for a vote on Wednesday. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Making news around the state now as human trafficking continues to plague communities across California. A bipartisan bill authored by Bakersfield Senator Shannon Grove is now one step closer to becoming law after it received unanimous approval from the state Senate. 17's Capitol correspondent Eitan Wallace has the latest.
Well, in essence, the legislation will increase penalties for people convicted of trafficking minors, something the bill's author says will send a strong message to traffickers, all while protecting victims.
There'll be justice for survivors.
That is what Senator Shannon Grove says will happen if her bill targeting human traffickers becomes law.
Secretary, please call the roll.
The legislation, known as SB 14, passed the state Senate with unanimous bipartisan approval last week. Should it one day be signed into law, it would classify human trafficking of anyone under the age of 18 as a serious felony and would include it as a strike under the California 3 Strikes law. That could increase jail time for convicted traffickers.
For those that are selling minor children for sex, California hopefully is coming after you.
Last year, Senator Grove introduced a similar bill, but it did not make it out of the Public Safety Committee. That bill tried to classify human trafficking as a serious and violent felony, all while going after traffickers who target people of all ages. But this time around, in an effort to get more support, the bill has been modified to classify trafficking just as a serious felony, all while going after human traffickers who specifically target minors. After those amendments were made, more than 30 co-authors from both parties endorsed the bill. Last month, when members of the same Public Safety Committee who rejected the bill last year voted in favor of the similar legislation this year, Grove, a Republican, shared a hug in unity with her Democratic colleagues.
When you're in legislation, you do baby steps, but over 50% of the individuals trafficked or rescued from human trafficking are minors, so it is a good step in the right direction.
And the bill now goes to the Assembly. If it passes there without any formal changes, it will head to the governor's desk. Reporting on assignment in Los Angeles, Eitan Wallace, 17 News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.